I hunt shiny legendaries in this episode of Adventures in Shiny Hunting. So you probably have some questions when it comes to that opening statement because of a certain thing with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I have answers for that, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. But for now, let's kick off today's shiny hunting in the Savannah biome, where I once again returned to the classic Totodile pool to try to hunt that shiny Gen 3 water starter. And of course, I found something else.
So I was out exploring the Totodile pond, hopefully trying to find an actual Totodile, when of course I came across something different. A little bit late. It was after Christmas, but I didn't have Christmas fish until now. So I found one and caught it.
Next, I came across a Tauros outbreak. Now, I already have 2 of the 3 Paldean Tauros. I still need the water one, but I do have the fire and the normal fighting Tauros. So I figured I might as well get the shiny Cantonian Tauros too to complete the collection. So I went to that, and after knocking out 60, I did some resets, and well, I ran into this little guy.
So I was in the middle of this Tauros outbreak. Just did a picnic reset, and of course was back on the hunt looking for a sick-looking green Tauros. But unfortunately that's not what I found. Instead I wandered over here and found a golden Smeargle, which, to be honest, I'm kind of okay with because I have a devious plan for another weird Smeargle moveset.
Now this is my second shiny Smeargle, and I plan on doing a really broken move set with it. I already have one Smeargle that I've given a pretty crazy move set, but this one in particular I'm going to do something pretty devious with, so stay tuned for that. But I decided to continue hunting Tauros, and well, here's what happened there.
So I was back on the hunt looking for Tauros. I of course did the picnic reset method because that's what you do for outbreaks with all my beautiful shinies. You'll see some of these later on. And yeah, looked around, tried to see a sick green looking Tauros, and happened to find one just running around at the bottom. So yep, my third shiny Tauros, this time the normal kind.
So next up was a Crocodile outbreak. Now Crocodile is a pretty awesome Pokemon, and its shiny is very vibrant. It turns from like a reddish color to brown, and then the stripes turn from black to yellow. Very obvious, very cool. One I didn't have in my collection, so I figured, you know what, let's see if I can find myself a shiny Croc. And well, here's how that turned out.
Crocodile, I feel, has one of the more underrated shinies. It's a really cool, very distinct shiny that I don't think people give enough credit for. But yeah, I had a Crocodile outbreak, so I decided to wander around and see if I could find one, along with a bunch of Snivy and Girafarig and other stuff. And yeah, I happened to find a brown and yellow Crocodile just chilling over here, and we'll gladly add that to my collection.
Now, I'm sure you've seen the trend in this series where there have been a number of times where I go to an outbreak and try to shiny hunt a particular Pokemon and end up finding not that Pokemon or finding something completely different. Here's another case of that where I found a outbreak for a Shieldon, which is the fossil Pokemon that's exclusive to Pokemon Violet. And here's what I found instead.
So I was at a Shieldon outbreak, which, by the way, is a very difficult shiny to spot because of the slight variance in color. So I was roaming around hoping that maybe I would notice a Shieldon that looks slightly different than the rest. Unfortunately, I didn't find that, but I did find this little guy wearing blue pants and decided to catch him. He did grow up to be a Hitmonchan, so that's pretty cool.
So next I was doing a shiny hunt for Snivy, which again, you'll see more of that when we get to that video whenever it comes out. It's probably going to be a little while where I shiny hunt all the starters. But I decided to shiny hunt Snivy in the Savannah biome and was clearing out some random Pokemon and ran into another unexpected guest.
So I was back in the Savannah. This time I was at a Snivy outbreak trying to get yet another starter to add to that collection and that eventual video that will hopefully see the light of day at some point. And while I was wandering around, I happened to notice in the corner of my eye a different looking female Pyroar. So I decided to embrace the circle of life and add Nala to my collection along with my Simba.
So next I decided to shiny hunt Toucanon, which is a regional bird that hasn't been in the game since, I believe, Sun and Moon. And Toucanon has an absolutely gorgeous shiny. Its bill changes different colors. It's really nice. So I had to have one. And, well, here's what I found.
So I was roaming around the coastal biome looking for a silly looking toucan, and yep, there's a toucan with a very dark bluish beak. Not the normal colors for a toucan at all. Very stunning, shiny, and definitely one I had to add to the collection.
So you've already seen over the past couple episodes several clips at Totodile Pond, and this time I found a Totodile outbreak, which is a pretty uncommon outbreak that I was willing to spend a lot of time on. So I did the outbreak. I popped a school lunch from the cafeteria, which gave me shining power for all types. And here's what I found.
So I was back once again at Totodile Pond, this time with the Totodile outbreak, which you'd hope that meant I'd actually get a Totodile. And yes, that's a little spoiler for something you're probably going to see later in the video. But I was wandering around the pond, and of course, I found something else. And yep, it's another Christmas fish. So, 2 shiny Bruxish, short period of time.
So after catching one of the water starters and using a water sandwich, I still had a little time left, so I decided to go to the Sobble Pond, also in the Savannah biome, and hunt Sobble. So I was roaming around trying to find a shiny Sobble and found a different starter. Now, this one doesn't count as the other video because I've caught a whole bunch of this starter already, so I'll keep my original ones for that video, but this one, it's a bonus. You can have it here.
So I was wandering around looking for a shiny Sobble. I believe I was using up the rest of a sandwich, or the Academy Special, which gives you shiny power on everything. So I was wandering around looking for whatever I could find, and happened to come across a green Boib. And I've caught many of these, so kind of consider this a spoiler, but not really.
Okay, so now the big moment you've been waiting for. How am I shiny hunting legendaries? Well, there's one simple explanation. Obviously, in Scarlet and Violet, you have the ability in the Indigo Disc DLC to go catch older legendaries out in the wild, which is pretty cool, with one major problem, and that is they are all shiny locked, meaning they cannot be shiny. They will never be shiny. So there's no point in trying to shiny hunt them because there's not a possibility of them being shiny. So if that's the case, how can you shiny hunt? Well, in order to do that, you have to travel back to the Galar region, because in the Crown Tundra DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield lies Dynamax Adventures. Now, if you've never played Sword and Shield, or it's been a while, Dynamax Adventures are essentially the best post-game event that I've seen in a Pokemon game. You're essentially given a bunch of raids in a row. It's 4 raid dens back to back to back. And you have to go through 3 regular Pokemon, and then at the end you get to fight a legendary, which is pretty cool. Now, what makes this challenging is you don't get to use your own Pokemon. Instead, you actually have to pick from a selection of loner Pokemon, and then throughout the course of the den, you can switch it out to different ones, whether it's the ones that you catch along the way, or there'll be random trainers who will trade you a random Pokemon. It's a whole thing. But the best part, and the main reason why this is relevant, is that not only are the Pokemon in Dynamax Adventures not shiny locked, there's actually boosted odds. So I believe if you have the shiny charm, you have a 1 out of 100 chance for any Pokemon in a Dynamax Adventure to be shiny, which is insanely good. The only complication is the Dynamax Adventures typically take, I don't know what that was, typically take about 20 minutes or so to finish because you have to go through all 4 battles. And on top of that, you only have 4 lives, and once your lives are gone, you're gone. So there's a decent chance you might not even make it to the legendary. Or if you make it with 1 life, if they knock out one of your AI component teammates or another player, you're out of there. So it's pretty challenging, but I still think out of all the end game events that Pokemon has done, it's probably the best one. But I decided to take my copy of Pokemon Shield, which I have never played Dynamax Adventures with, and use that as my shiny hunting file. So every single legendary that I go after, I will not catch until I get a shiny, because you can only catch each legendary once per game. So in Sword, I was a fool when I first played it and just caught them when I got them. But Shield, I'm not doing that. I am only catching them if they are shiny. So I decided to go after legendaries. So the first legendary I went after was Zekrom. Now, Zekrom, of course, is the Pokemon that is on the cover of Pokemon White. Of course, Black and White, very relevant these days, especially because it's very, very strongly hinted that Black and White are getting remakes or some sort of new game. Plus, the Indigo Disc takes place in Unova region, which is the setting for Black and White. So that's cool. So I figured, you know what? Why not make my first shiny legendary one of the box arts from Gen 5? So I went after Zekrom, and after 39 different raids, here's what happened.
So I was completing another Dynamax adventure. This is Dynamax Adventure number 39. I had 22 wins, 17 fails, and happened to find a Zekrom with blue eyes. My very first shiny legendary and very first shiny of Dynamax Adventures. I had to double check to make sure it was shiny, but it was. So that's right, shiny Zekrom, my first shiny Dynamax Adventures.
So obviously, getting a shiny legendary is pretty awesome, but not just the legendary is shiny unlocked. In fact, every single Pokemon that you catch in a Dynamax Adventure has the potential to be shiny. So you want to catch everything, because why would you turn down a shiny? Even if it's one you already have, it's still a shiny. So I happened to be doing a regular run. This is when I started my second legendary hunt, which was Mewtwo, because I figured, who doesn't want a shiny green Mewtwo? That's awesome. So I decided to do Mewtwo runs, and I don't remember the exact number when I found this one, but I found my second shiny that wasn't a legendary, and it's one that's pretty awesome.
So I just caught Mewtwo. I don't remember exactly which run this was, but immediately I came across shiny Alolan Raichu, which is an awesome one because you can't catch a Alolan Raichu in Scarlet and Violet. So to get a shiny one from Dynamax Adventures, pretty fantastic. Definitely a great shiny to add to my collection.
And then last, but certainly not least, I did find my third shiny legendary. Well, not legendary, but third shiny of the Dynamax Adventures. And yes, it was a legendary. You could probably guess what it is, because that's what I was doing runs for. I think it only took 34 runs, something like that. So not quite as bad as Zekrom, but pretty similar results. So yeah, here's where I found my next shiny legendary.
So this was run number 34 for Mewtwo. It seems like you tend to have good odds around 20 or so runs when you're trying to go for the same legendary over and over again. At least that's my luck. I caught Zekrom with 22 wins. So after 21 wins, I found Green Mewtwo. So second legendary.
Now again, because the Dynamax Adventures do take some time, I'm probably not going to devote like a lot of time each day to doing them. I'll probably do like a few runs a day. That's what I've been doing, kind of, is like I'll get off of work, and if I've got nothing else to do, I'll do like 3 or 4 Dynamax Adventures in a row, and then if I get something cool, if I don't, no big deal. I've also been keeping tabs on exactly how many runs it takes to get legendaries, as well as how many other shinies I've gotten along the way. So far I've done, I think it was like 80 runs, something to that effect. And I've gotten 3 shinies, 2 legendaries and 1 non. And all of them are great. I was fully expecting to get a double by now, because I've gotten several Pokemon that I already have shinies of, but no, every single shiny that I've gotten, not only is it not one I already have, but they're all available in Scarlet and Violet. So I actually transferred all of them over. So now I have a shiny Zekrom, a shiny Mewtwo, and a shiny Alolan Raichu in Pokemon Violet, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Adventures in Shiny Hunting. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I'll be releasing more videos like this throughout the rest of the year. I still got a bunch of older videos I still need to go through. So you might see some content from a little while ago. I'm going to try to get everything caught up, but I'll also bring in the new ones because obviously I'm going to be continuously shiny hunting. So yeah, whenever I get new shinies, you'll see it, as well as some ones that I caught before. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Adventures in Shiny Hunting. Bye-bye.